Hi loves, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all safe and healthy, and today's video is going to be pretty long, so grab a drink, grab a snack, snuggle up in a cozy blanket, and enjoy the video. Before we get started into the video, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I make new videos every single week, and I have a lot of fun videos coming up for you guys, so subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. So if you guys didn't know, Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. I love it so much, and I was trying to think of Halloween movies that I really liked just to get into the Halloween spirit a little bit more, and I realized there's a ton that I either haven't seen in years or ones that I just have never watched. So I decided for the 31 days of October, I'm going to be watching 31 Halloween movies and rating them and telling you guys what my thoughts are on them. Also, there will be no spoilers in this video, I promise. I want to give you guys the same effect that I had watching these for the first time and not spoil them for you. So I'm just going to be giving a brief summary of what these are about. I'm going to be rating all these movies on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. Then at the end, I'm going to review all the movies and the ratings I gave them, as well as tell you the top 3 movies I think you should watch on Halloween. So let's start on the list. So the first one is a show and not a movie, so I kind of broke my own rules there, but we'll get into why. The first one is Wolfblood. After a new wolf moves into the Smiths' territory, they must look after him and make sure he doesn't expose their biggest secret of being a Wolfblood. Now, I know this is a show and not a movie, sorry about that, but honestly, it's as easy to watch as a movie. It's really, really immersive, so detailed. The world that they create makes you feel like you're there, and I was able to watch 3 out of the 6 seasons in like a few days. I think the first season actually appeared on Disney, so that's probably why I knew it from like my childhood. I remember growing up watching the show, and watching it now as an adult, I can pretty much confirm that this is one of the best kid shows out there. And when you're watching it, really doesn't even feel like a kid show or even a Disney show for the most part. It's really, really good. I recommend it so much. My rating for Wolfblood is going to be 5 out of 5. The next movie I watched was My Babysitters Vampire. After Ethan and Benny meet their new babysitter Sarah, they realize she is actually not human. After she reveals she's a vampire and has to drink human blood to save her own life, they realize the situation is much more intense than they first thought. Now they must stop the bad vampires from sucking the life out of a midnight movie premiere. This movie was actually turned into a TV show on Disney with 2 seasons because the movie ended up being so popular when it came out, but I only ended up watching the movie, and I don't know if I would want to watch the TV show again. The movie was okay. I liked how it poked fun at the Twilight series. It was kind of funny because the movie was so popular then, and again, it's like gaining popularity now. It's just funny the way that they like worked that into a Disney movie. The biggest problem I have with this movie is how dated it is. They tried to make it really relatable to the teens when it first came out with like the Twilight stuff, and a lot of the sayings and clothing are very dated in this movie, and it honestly isn't in a timeless way. It kind of makes it a little bit cringy watching it back in 2020. I remember watching this as a kid and watching the show as well and thinking it was really cool for the time, but I don't know if I have the same thoughts now. I mean, it is a Disney movie. I liked the concept of it, and I feel like it could have been a lot better if they made different choices when it came out to make it a little bit more timeless. My rating for My Babysitter's Vampire is going to be a 2 out of 5. The third movie I watched was Corpse Bride. This movie follows a young man named Victor who is to be married to a lady named Victoria. The marriage is more of a financial deal for the families, but the minute they meet, they understand and have a deep connection with each other. The rehearsal dinner turns disastrous when Victor gets shy and messes up his vows, so he runs into the woods to calm down. While he's there, he practices his vows but accidentally marries himself to the wrong woman. I didn't really know what to expect or what it was about because this was my first time watching it, but I ended up really liking this movie. This would be a really good family movie, especially if you have little kids. It has some good spooky vibes, but it's not scary, and I think my favorite part about it was the color story between the 2 worlds of the living and the dead. I like the ending a lot. It has a good twist. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but it's really good, and the movie keeps you hooked the whole time. It's just a really good movie. So my rating for Corpse Bride is going to be a 5 out of 5. The fourth movie I watched was Mostly Ghostly, the first one. This movie tells the story about an aspiring magician named Max who meets the ghosts of the children who lived in the house before him. Together they fight back against the King of Darkness and the evil spirits who stole the children's parents. Max has to juggle between issues in his real life as well as helping his ghost friends find and defeat the evil spirits. I totally forgot about this movie until I saw it again. I don't really remember what I thought about it when I was a kid, but watching it now, it's just okay. I feel like Disney tends to do this thing where they date all their movies and try and make it cool when it comes out, but when you watch it several years later, it's just not the same. I think the storyline was pretty good. I feel like there's some plot holes, but again, I think they have 3 or 4 other movies that I didn't end up watching. But as far as like the really, really good movies I watched this month, I don't think this one really made the cut. My rating for the first Mostly Ghostly is going to be a 1 out of 5. I'm sorry. The 5th movie I watched was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. A young boy, Harry Potter, receives a letter from a school called Hogwarts. There he learns he's somewhat of a celebrity in the magical world as the boy who lives. lived. Here he learns about the treasures and secrets that only he can uncover and keep those treasures and secrets from falling into the wrong hands. I'm just gonna say it, I love the Harry Potter series. I really am a sucker for any world that can draw you in and immerse you so quickly, and especially with how much detail is in the Harry Potter world, I just love it. Now, I don't know if this can really be classified as like a Halloween movie, but it does have a Halloween scene and some good spooky vibes throughout it, and like Halloween themes, so I'm gonna count it as a Halloween movie. It's magic, it's fine. Plus, I really wish I could spend Halloween in the Great Hall with the floating pumpkins and candles. If I find a way to make that for my room, I will let you guys know and give you a tutorial or something, but that's beside the point. Although I am not a fan of J.K. Rowling or her views, I really like how the directors made the Harry Potter world come to life from the books. I really do like the movies better than the books too, so I'm sorry. So my final rating for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is 4 out of 5. I did take away a point for it not really being a Halloween movie, but it is a really good movie in general. The 6th movie I watched was My Best Friend's a Vampire. A young boy named Jeremy meets a mysterious woman at an abandoned mansion where she bites him and turns him into a vampire. He then has to find out a way to adjust to his new vampire life while 2 vampire hunters chase him and his best friend trying to kill them. I'm gonna be honest, I was really excited for this movie based on the sole fact that Robert Sean Leonard is in this, because House is my favorite show and Dead Poet Society is one of my favorite movies. So I was really excited to see more of his acting when he was around my age. Not because I think he's cute, definitely not. I really like 80s teen movies. There's a certain amount of like charm to them that we don't really get from movies that come out nowadays, and I thought it was funny, action-packed. It's a really good Halloween movie, and I really enjoyed Robert Sean Leonard's acting. So my rating for My Best Friend's a Vampire is going to be a 5 out of 5. The 7th movie I watched was Coraline. A young girl named Coraline moves from Michigan, that's where I'm from, to a new apartment called the Pink Palace. Unhappy with her living situation, she starts exploring her new odd house and her neighbors. While exploring, she finds a small door in her house and she realizes there's a whole new world mirroring her own behind it. Everything in this new world is too good to be true, but as she slowly starts realizing the darker parts to this world, she finds herself being trapped in it. So I read the book before I watched the movie, and I watched the movie when it came out. I have to say, the way they put this movie together is so much better than I could have imagined reading the book. Much like in Corpse Bride, they play with the lighting in a way to tell the story further and make it more detailed, and it just makes the movie so interesting to watch. I think the lighting is my favorite part about this movie, especially in the tunnel to the other mother's world. How it evolves and gets scarier over time and sort of tells the story before you can even realize what's happening. And yeah, I just love the way it evolves with the story and the characters, and it's just a really cool detail. My rating for Coraline is going to be a 5 out of 5. Number 8 is It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown and the Peanut Gallery plan a Halloween party, and everyone is super psyched to go except for Linus and Lucy, who spend the night in the pumpkin patch, waiting for the great pumpkin to sprout from the pumpkin patch and bring presents to all the children. I love this movie. I think it's so cute. This is the best not scary Halloween movie ever. I watch this every Halloween. I just like the vibes I get while watching this movie. It kind of takes me back to when I was a kid. It's short, it's cute, it's a classic. My rating for It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown is a 5 out of 5. Number 9 is Vamps. This movie is about 2 best friends who are vampires. This movie tells the struggle of how hard it is for vampires to actually be immortal when there are people in life that you love. They juggle with keeping their secret, protecting others like them, and staying safe from those who hunt vampires. This is not the most Halloween-y movie ever. I think it's more of a chick flick, and I don't know how much I'm really into those type of movies, but this one was actually pretty good. It's funny, I think the ending is really cute, and yeah, I ended up really liking this movie. So my rating for Vamps is 4 out of 5. Number 10 is Casper the Friendly Ghost. Casper is a lost soul living in a condemned mansion. After a woman inherits the house, she finds there might be treasure inside of the mansion, but the only way to get the treasure is to get the ghosts out. So she hires a ghost therapist who moves into the house to try and keep the spirits calm so she can find the treasure. I think this movie is a classic. It's a cute, funny family movie. I like the character development throughout it. I really like the set they used, and overall I think it's a really good movie. My rating for Casper the Friendly Ghost is a 5 out of 5. Number 11 is Warm Bodies. After a pandemic sweeps over the city and turns those infected into zombies, citizens have locked themselves inside of a set of walls to quarantine themselves and stay healthy. Jules finds herself on a failed mission outside of the walls where things go wrong and her group gets eaten by zombies, but a friendly zombie named R takes Jules back to his home and keeps her safe from those infected. It was really interesting to watch a movie about a pandemic in the middle of one. The similarities between the things that happened in the movie in 2013 2013 and things that are happening now in 2020 is honestly kind of scary, not gonna lie. There are some really weird coincidences that made it a bit strange. I mean, obviously not the zombie part, but like they had temperature checks and the wall and a paper saying that the president had gotten infected seems really similar to one that just came out, and watching it was just so odd. But I really did enjoy the movie. I think it's a cute little romantic spooky love story, and the message we can all take away from that is we have to help others and show love and compassion towards other people in order to get through a pandemic. My final rating for Warm Bodies is a 4 out of 5. The 12th one is Hocus Pocus. After lighting the black flame candle inside the Sanderson sisters' house on Halloween, the sisters come back from life after 300 years. Max, his sister Danny, and his crush Allison must stop the Sanderson sisters from sucking the life out of all the children in Salem. This is another classic. I feel like this is a movie you just have to watch this time of year. I did not know it was a Disney movie until I looked it up, and it really doesn't feel like a Disney movie. I really think this is just a fun Halloween family movie. The cinematography is great, the costumes and the acting is really good, and the movie itself feels really timeless. My rating for Hocus Pocus is a 5 out of 5. Now we're kind of on to like the series part of this video. So we're going to start off with the Twitches series. Twitches stars Tia and Tamara playing Alex and Cameron. I had to mention that because I don't think this movie would be the same without them and their acting. Alex and Cameron were separated at birth until their 21st birthday, where they meet for the first time and discover that together they have magical powers. They also realize they're from a completely different dimension that's being threatened by darkness, and they have to save and fight for their true dimension and the people within it. Now this is another Halloween classic, and I think Tia and Tamara's acting in this is just super good. I feel like there are some things that I've noticed watching this as an adult now. There's multiple plot holes, some of the character development doesn't really make much sense, and the fact that I wish there was better closure in the ending of this. But they do have a second movie, so I'm going to talk about that after this one. But my rating for Twitches, the first one, is going to be a 3 out of 5. So let's talk about Twitches 2. Battling the forces of darkness once again, Alex and Cameron must save their father from the darkness and abolish all the evil from their land. I think this one is much better than the first one. The costumes improved, the set was better. I do feel like this movie could have been a little bit shorter than it was. I feel like at times it was a lot of filler and repetitive things. I would have liked to see Dimitri's character evolve a little bit more and get a little bit more screen time. That would have been an interesting thing to include in this movie, because this role just kind of confused me a little bit. It didn't really have much purpose, but he was one of the main characters. I wish they would have done more with him. And overall, I feel like there's a lot of things I would change about the character development in this movie. The plot was alright, but like, I don't know, something about the character choices just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I did hear they're thinking about making a Twitches 3, so I am really excited to see what they do with that. But my rating for Twitches 2 is going to be, again, a 3 out of 5. Now onto the Hotel Transylvania series. After a human enters the monster hotel, Mavis zings over him, and Dracula must find a way to keep them separated so that his vampire daughter does not fall in love with a human. Now this isn't a typical like Halloween movie, but it does have Halloween themes in it, and regardless, I think it's a cute little spooky love story. The message of this movie was cute, that no matter who you are, where you were born, what you are, we're all the same and we should just care about what's on the inside. The animation in this movie was really, really good, and I really like the character development in this as well. So my rating for Hotel Transylvania is a 5 out of 5. Now on to Hotel Transylvania 2. Mavis and Johnny raise their child thinking he's human and embracing it, but Dracula is determined that he's a vampire and tries his best to prove it. I think this one is a little bit spookier than the first one, as it kind of leans into the scary things, but more in a funny way than a scary one, so it makes a really good family movie. And I like the way the storyline is set up. It's kind of comical how bad the timing is for a lot of things, and I think it's funny. And also the message of this movie is accepting your child for whatever they might be and loving them regardless of it, and I think it's just really cute. My rating for Hotel Transylvania 2 is going to be a 5 out of 5. Now on to the last one in the series, Hotel Transylvania 3. Mavis sees her dad is stressed out about work and decides to take the whole gang out for a little summer cruise. On the cruise, there is love, revenge, and so much more waiting for them. I think this gave me the least spooky vibes out of the series just because it's like a summer vacation, and I think this might be more for like the beginning of the Halloween season, and maybe not the best to watch when you're curled up in a little blanket and it's 30 degrees out, but I think this movie is good regardless. And I want to talk about how amazing the animation is in this movie. I loved how real the water shots looked. I just can't believe they made it look so real, and it was just really pretty to watch. So my rating for Hotel Transylvania 3 is a 5 out of 5. Now onto the Halloweentown series. We're gonna start off with the classic Halloweentown. After learning Marnie is a witch, she follows her grandmother back to her home in Halloweentown, where she accidentally gets wrapped into saving the whole town from an evil man who plans to take over Halloweentown. Now, I know a lot of people are like hardcore Halloweentown fans, but I'm just not one of those people. I don't really like the series of movies that much. I think it's a classic Halloween movie, I will give it that, but as far as like movie quality goes, I would say it's just okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the way Disney movies were directed at the time that came out. I just don't think it's as immersive and detailed as it could be. It kind of focuses more on comedy aspects. So factoring in all of that, I'm going to give Halloweentown a 3 out of 5. So moving to Halloweentown 2. Marnie and Aggie Cromwell get stuck in Halloweentown. They are put under a gray spell that is turning all the monsters in Halloweentown human. In the human world, Marnie's mother and siblings try and stop someone from turning the humans into monsters. I say someone because I'm not going to spoil who it is. The movie was okay. I feel like they could have done a better job on the special effects and the costumes because I was kind of expecting a little bit more from it. The plot was pretty good. I didn't notice any plot holes, but I definitely have some questions for the writers about some of the choices that were made. But yeah, I think it was just okay. My rating for Halloweentown 2 is going to be a 2 out of 5. On to the third movie in the series, Halloweentown High. Marnie desperately wants humans and monsters to get along better, so she makes a deal with the Halloweentown Council to let some of the kids from Halloweentown attend school in the human world. But they soon find out there are more people that don't want them in the human world than they originally think. I think this is the best movie in the Halloweentown series. The special effects were better, the acting, even in the minor roles, was really good, and the way they set up the plot and let the mystery unfold was really good. It's almost like the Scooby-Doo setup where it's not who you originally think it is, and I really liked that. But there are some things I would change or write in. I feel like the ending was a bit rushed, and there was a lot of stuff that wasn't really addressed at the end of the movie that I feel like should have been. But my rating for Halloweentown High is going to be a 4 out of 5. And we're on to the last one in the Halloweentown series, Return to Halloweentown. After Marnie gets into the esteemed Witch Academy, she is faced with many challenges and other witches that are not so average. Once again, Marnie must save Halloweentown from being taken over by evil forces. I think this one had much more of a complex storyline to any of the other ones in the series, but I think that's what made it one of the best ones in the series. It also had much better special effects than the other three, but I didn't like that they replaced Marnie and cut out Sophie's character entirely. I just wish they would have stuck with the original cast for the last one in a 4-part movie, you know what I mean? Do I think it's as good as Halloweentown High? No, but it is very complex and well done. My rating for Return to Halloweentown is going to be a 3 out of 5. On to 22, My Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. After getting grounded, 3 kids set their mom up on a date so they can sneak out of the house. But when they realize they set her up with a vampire, they realize the severity of their actions and try their best to save her before her vampire date turns her into his own personal minion. Now, this is a movie, again, I feel like there's a certain Disney comedy aimed at kids that just seems a bit unnatural to me. That's just a personal thing of mine that I don't like watching these movies, but I think the movie is cute. It's a good family movie. The acting and the costume choices were really good as well, and I liked the storyline. I think the only thing I found really weird was the dialogue coming from the vampire. It was just really strange at times. I don't know how to describe it other than it was just strange. I also think the ending could have been a lot better than it was, because I still do have a lot of questions that were never answered in the ending of the movie, so I would change that. But overall, my rating for My Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire is going to be a 3 out of 5. Number 23 is Spooky Buddies. After accidentally releasing the Halloween Hound, the buddies must find a way to escape the Halloween Hound in order to save the souls of the lost puppies and save their kids. This is a really cute kids movie. I loved the Buddies movies when I was a kid. I do feel like it was a bit repetitive at times, but I feel like that would be lost on a kid. It wouldn't bother them that much. And I'm picky about movies, so that might have just been like a personal thing of mine. And although it's not scary at all, there is some good Halloween vibes in there. So my rating for Spooky Buddies is a 4 out of 5. Number 24 is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. After the death of his grandfather, Jake visits the children's home that his late grandfather used to tell him fascinating stories about when he was growing up. Once he finds out the home is abandoned, things begin to unravel and Jake realizes more about his grandfather and himself in his time there. First off, this movie is long. This movie is 2 hours and 8 minutes, which is super long to me because I started watching this movie at 1 in the morning, but I feel like it does a good job of immersing you into the story so it doesn't feel so long. The visuals in this movie are absolutely fantastic. I feel like you need to watch this movie more than once to fully grasp and understand what's happening, but trust me, if you watch it more than once, you will not regret it because you'll find things that you didn't even notice the first time you watched it, which I love movies that do that. I think the character development for every single character was really interesting. I really hope they make a second movie to this because the first one is just really well done. I will say it's not Halloween-y at all other than the fact that Tim Burton is the director, but this movie is a really good one to watch just in general. So my rating for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is going to be a 4 out of 5. Number 25, we're almost done, Girl vs. Monster. After accidentally releasing all the monsters that her parents have collected for centuries, Skylar must face her fears and start hunting them as well as save her friends and the whole town from being spooked to death. When I watched this movie for the first time as a kid, I remember really not liking it. I think it was just just a bit repetitive and the majority of the action happens towards the end of the movie. But watching it when I'm older, it's not as bad as I remembered, but it's definitely not the best Halloween movie that I watched. My mom really enjoyed it and thought the jokes were kind of funny in it, and my sister said this was one of her favorite Halloween movies, so take my rating with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's just not my favorite. My rating for Girl vs. Monster is a 3 out of 5. Number 26, The Nightmare Before Christmas. After getting lost in Christmas Town, Jack finds himself inspired by the Christmas spirit and decides he should be the one to take over Christmas for this year. I actually had never seen this movie before I watched it this month, and I don't know what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a Halloween movie, but I don't really think it was. I think it's more of a Christmas movie, and it has quite a lot of hype around it, and I don't know, for how excited people get over this movie, I kind of was expecting just a little bit more. And that might have been that I just wasn't watching it in the correct season, this more of a Christmas movie, but I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite. Again, I do like the way the lighting was in this movie with the blue and the gray contrasting themes. I think it's cool, but it just wasn't my favorite movie out of the ones that I watched. I know people love this, please don't get mad at me that it just wasn't my favorite, but my rating for The Nightmare Before Christmas is a 3 out of 5. Next up we have number 27, The Addams Family. After a lookalike Fester returns home after 25 years, the family is excited to finally be with him again, but as more and more things start to not add up, they realize that he's an imposter. I love the Addams Family. I was in the Addams Family musical in my high school, and that was my absolute favorite musical that I've ever been a part of. The spooky vibes are all there for this movie. I've seen it 100 times. It's just a really good movie. The set, the costumes, acting, the character development is all really, really good. It really immerses you into this and it makes you feel like you're actually there. You can tell a lot of thought was put into every detail in this movie. So with all of that, my rating for the Addams Family is going to be a 5 out of 5. Number 28 is Beetlejuice. After realizing they're actually dead, this couple tries to protect their house from the humans that have just moved in. This is another one that I've heard a lot about, but I haven't actually gotten the chance to see. I, again, really am a sucker for the way they play with color in these movies, and I don't know why, but I thought the plot of this movie was going to be different, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Regardless, I agree that it's a good spooky classic movie, but although it has a lot of hype, I don't think this movie is my favorite, so my rating for Beetlejuice is going to be a 4 out of 5. Number 29 is It. After more and more kids in their town start to go missing, it is up to a group of friends called the Losers to solve the disappearances and not get got along the way. There's not a better way I could say that. You just get got. This is technically a horror movie, but to me it's pretty tame. I didn't find it that scary. The ending was probably the scariest part, but it honestly wasn't too bad. I really liked how there was a lot of different storylines at the beginning and it all came together into one at the end. And the acting, especially from the kids, was just amazing and the film work is incredible. I think this has become a new Halloween classic movie for me. My rating for It is going to be a 5 out of 5. Number 30 is It Chapter 2. After 27 years, the losers must face their past and get rid of it once and for all. I will be honest, it is 3 hours. It's really long. I was weary about watching the whole thing and I thought I was going to stop halfway through and go to bed, but I accidentally watched the whole thing all in one sitting because I could not stop watching it. I really liked how it did flashbacks to the first movie and you saw a lot of parallels between the two. I think the acting was amazing from every single character. The camera work was my favorite part of the movie. I really liked the shots they got, and I can't even imagine how long post-production was for that, especially with some of the special effects and the fact that it's literally 3 hours long. The end result was just amazing. I think this movie was one of my favorite movies that I've watched this month. So my rating for It Chapter 2 is 5 out of 5. And the last movie that I watched, number 31, is Little Shop of Horrors, the 1960s edition. After finding a one-of-a-kind plant with a very strange diet, Seymour must try and keep his job and make himself famous with the plant. I thought this was a really cute movie, even though I think it's technically supposed to be a horror movie. I mean, it's a 1960s horror movie, so to me it's not that scary. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really funny, and it could honestly classify as a kid's movie because, again, I don't think it's that scary. I do feel like the ending in this movie was a bit rushed, but I overall really liked it. I'm giving Little Shop of Horrors, the 1960s one, a 5 out of 5. So those are all the movies that I watched, but I do want to have a little honorable mention section for some of the little shows that I watched throughout all of this as well. First, let's start off with The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Season 1, Episode 19, The Ghost in Room 613. This is my favorite episode of the entire show, and I think it's so funny, and it just holds a special place in my heart, and the whole episode is free on YouTube. I will link it down below. It's really cute, really funny to watch. The acting from Esteban is so funny in this one. That's what makes the whole episode great, is his acting. So check that out. I will leave a link below. It's a must-see for Halloween time. And the second one I would like to mention is Wizards of Waverly Place. I feel like the whole show is pretty Halloween-y and gives good spooky vibes, but one episode in particular has stuck with me for years. It's season 3, episode 2. It's just labeled Halloween. I watched this one probably 100 times when I was a kid, and every single year since then I've been thinking of wearing Alex Russo's costume. And literally my favorite scene ever from that show is when she trades like rings and stuff for this picture of a dog. Literally, I've asked every single person if they remember the scene, and no one has, but it's my favorite scene from the show. And I want to make it my Halloween costume so bad this year, but I don't know if I will. We'll see. I'll do it one of these years though. I promise I will. And if you get a chance to, you should 100% watch those. They're only like 20 minutes or so. They're spooky and funny classics. So as for the movies, here are the final ratings. In our 1 out of 5 category, we have Mostly Ghostly. In 2 out of 5, we have My Babysitters Vampire and Halloweentown 2. In 3 out of 5, we have Twitches 2, Halloweentown, Return to Halloweentown, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Girl vs. Monster, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. In 4 out of 5, we have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Vamps, Warm Bodies, Halloweentown High, Spooky Buddies, Beetlejuice, and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And finally, 5 out of 5, we have Wolfblood, Corpse Bride, My Best Friend's a Vampire, Coraline, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Casper the Friendly Ghost, Hocus Pocus, Hotel Transylvania 1, 2, and 3, The Addams Family, It Chapter 2, and Little Shop of Horrors. Now out of these, the top 3 movies that I will be watching with my family on Halloween are, drumroll please, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Corpse Bride, and Hocus Pocus. These Halloween movies are super cute. I think you should watch them with your family on Halloween. And with these, you have a little comedy, a little romance, and some spooky vibes. Overall, I had a lot of fun watching all of these, and I really got to relive my childhood love for Halloween through these movies. And yeah, I think that's all for this week. This video was a whole lot of work, so if you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel down below, and also turn on my bell notifications so you know when I post. I would love to know what your favorite Halloween movie is, so leave that in the comments down below. I'm super interested to hear what you guys think. Stay safe, stay healthy, make good choices, and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.